Hello, my name is John Hendricks, and I'm the Grants and Program Manager for the PPL Momentum Music Fund. Welcome to the How to Apply webinar, and please don't forget to subscribe and click the bell to never miss an update from the PRS Foundation YouTube channel. The PPL Momentum Music Fund offers grants of £5,000 to £15,000 for UK-based bands and artists to break through to the next level of their careers. Activities include recording, touring, and marketing are eligible for support. The PPL Momentum Music Fund is run by PRS Foundation in partnership with PPL, Creative Wales, and Arts Council Northern Ireland. The fund provides vital support which will help talented artists and bands to take their career to the next level. The application is not for bands and artists who are just starting out, playing their first gigs and demoing. If you're in an earlier stage of your career, please look at other funds that we have, including the Open Fund and When We Make Music. Those working in contemporary popular music are more likely to be supported than those working in contemporary classic. We recommend the Composer Fund for composers at the next level of their careers. And those working behind the scenes, such as songwriters and producers with writing credit, should also look to apply for Hitmaker rather than the PPL Momentum Fund. Before we get into the application, I'm just going to go through the stages you should be at for applying and the kind of things that you should think about applying for. Are you eligible for applying for the Momentum Fund? If you can answer yes to these questions below, then you qualify to apply for funding. The things that you should be asking yourselves is, are you an artist band based in the UK? Do you write and perform your own music? Have you been profiled, featured in national press, media, radio, and received coverage in wider blogs as an artist band? Have you played shows or been asked to play multiple shows across the UK? Do you have evidence of a strong fan base nationally and regionally? Do you have at least one team member? For example, manager, booking agent, record label, publisher, PR, plugger, or a lawyer. One thing to note is if you are signed to a major labor deal, we're unable to support artists because we believe that you'd be getting the support from the major label that you would be looking for from the foundation. Artists and bands applying for the fund at a crucial tipping point in their careers are showing current progression and growth as artists with the potential to significantly develop their careers over the next 2 years. The activity that the PPL Momentum Funding would support must take place in the UK. In exceptional circumstances, though, if you were like to ask for a recording for funding to help record in international territories, then that could be considered, but it's best to check with a member of the team before applying if this is one of the activities you're looking to apply for. People who can apply for the fund, it can be directly the band or artists, but you can also have representatives of the artists to apply as well. That can include managers, label reps, publishers, booking agents, PR and pluggers, lawyers, or a trusted advisor to the artist. But please note, any resulting grant offer is made to the music creator. Authorized representatives can effectively manage the project, but the offer is for the project outlined in the application for the music creators' benefit who are spoken about in the application. As mentioned before, you can apply for £5,000 to £15,000 to contribute to the development as an artist. On average, the funding requested is around £10,000. Going into what can be funded, you can ask to be funded for recording. So for example, for new music, whether it be EP, album or single, for producer fees, engineer, mixer fees, studio hire, studio musician fees, or a combination of all those elements. Touring, UK only, unfortunately. So travel, accommodation, musician fees, set production design, travel management, and equipment hire is for the UK only, with a caveat there for Northern Ireland-based applicants, we recognise that live dates through to the Republic of Ireland will likely have a good impact on your career. So, such as if you are applying from Northern Ireland and you have Republic of Ireland dates, you can put those in and request for funding for those. Marketing and promotions. So any activities or services that you use, for example, PR, radio pluggers, digital marketing, music videos, or merchandise production, etc. And a new one that we've added this year is the purchase of equipment, software, and hardware. You can use up to 20% of your requested grant towards those costs. If it's over 20%, you are unlikely to receive the grant. So just be careful when you're doing that. What we can't fund, van and car purchasing for touring. We can't, if you want to buy a vehicle, we cannot fund that. International touring, so touring outside of the UK, with exception to what I said earlier on about Northern Ireland. You cannot apply for the touring costs you may have outside of the UK. Support of a roster of artists. Each application must focus on one artist. So not so much on if you're a record label, a boutique record label, and you've got a roster of artists you want to apply for that, that is an eligible activity to apply for. It's got to focus on one artist. Projects that request funding that we can see could be covered by a major publisher or label or management company. Please, if you are applying and you have an independent label or a major publisher, can you express why they can't help with the activities that you're asking to be funded? Because we would consider that they could help you, but you need to state closely. But I'll get into a little bit more of that when we go through the application. Capital projects, for example, building works. If you're trying to build, I don't know, an office or a studio, we can't facilitate that. And building a studio or trying to kit out a studio, we cannot fund that kind of activity with this fund. Going back to what I said about being with a label or publishing, you may be asked to outline in your application why they cannot cover the activities that you are asking us to cover if you have got a label or a publishing company who are supporting you, or you have a deal with them, and explain why they're unable to cover any of these costs that you're asking for. Before we get into the application, just go a few things about common reasons why applicants aren't successful. Many applicants meet our funding criteria and score well, but there's a high demand, which means that we have to prioritize the highest scoring applications. The competitive nature of this fund is, in most cases, the reason applications have not been funded. Some of the reasons are applications are ineligible because they're applying for activity that has already happened before the decision date. Please do not apply for funding for projects that have already happened. We have a decision date in the application form that you will see will clearly state what day we intend to make the decisions public, and that if you have any project or funding activities that start before then, you are unlikely to be funded, because we can't retrospectively fund the cost of activity. Applicants applying for 100% costs are unlikely to be selected. We don't expect to be putting in to be covering the whole cost of your project. We expect you to have income from either advance from a smaller label or publisher, or maybe you've got some funds from touring that you've the touring profits that you've generated. We will not fund projects entirely, so I'll get back into that when we go through the application. The activity plan submitted does not demonstrate how the funding will significantly impact on the artist's career. So we want to support projects that we feel there's going to be a significant change if we are funding them. So and there's real growth and the ability for growth. So be careful when applying to make sure that you let us know that what impact the activities will have. The application did not show or confirm enough provisional activity in detail. Also, one of the things that happens in applications is there isn't enough detail in the certain sections that we ask for specific detail. For example, in a marketing plan, there may be not enough detail in how your marketing plan would be executed, and that would be a reason why you wouldn't score very highly. Going to the crucial tipping point of your career. We understand that the journey for each music creator is unique, and therefore we do not perceive what constitutes as a crucial tipping point. Sorry, we do perceive what can constitute as a crucial tipping point may vary amongst music creators, particularly those of certain genres that are maybe have a different career pathway to another genre. However, we do expect that the applications can demonstrate a strong UK-wide fan base, great press and radio coverage, and you have at least one team member in position. So it can help you make creative and professional development following the grant being awarded. It's also worth noting that once you have received the PPL Momentum Music Fund, you are ineligible for further support from the PRS Foundation, except for the International Showcase Fund Award, or if you're a Black music creator, the Power Up initiative that we run. Right, I'm going to go into the application forms now. Okay, so coming into the application portal, you will have various things to access, like a contact details, an account, and applications, and a download part. If you go to the applications, you will find that you have a fund. You can have the funding application form to access here. Apologies. And then you go through and it gives you an estimated time to complete each section. There are 6 pages, all with various times to complete them. I'm going to quickly go through each one. This is an eligibility page, check-in page. You must complete and pass the following eligibility quiz before starting the application. If the project is ineligible for support, please do not continue with the application as it will not be considered for support. So going through here, you have set parts to select. If you press no, then you should get a big red text telling you that you are not eligible to apply. But if the answer is yes to everyone, you can go through to the next part. You then get to the contact details, which then should have the contact details that you put in your account part. We then have a question here about data. You can either select you can pass on or please do not. Let's explain there why we use the data. We also have policies that you can check out if you click through. We also have a monthly newsletter, which you can also tick that you'd like to receive. We then have a drop-down menu here of how you discovered the application or how to apply for the fund, and you can put various things here. Again, that is a question that you need to fill out. If it's other, you can please tell us why that is. Another question you need to fill out is, have you applied before? If the answer is yes, please state when you last applied, and if you have previously received funding, please tick yes, and please tell us what fund you were awarded. And if you could also put the date, the year you got it, that would be really helpful. Have you previously applied for PRS funding in the calendar year? If the answer is yes, if you could put down how many. You can't apply for PPL Momentum more than 2 times in a calendar year. We have 4 rounds a year, but you can't apply for more than 2 times in a year. So once you've applied twice, you won't be considered if you apply for a 3rd time or 4th time until the next calendar year. We then ask you to tell us who's applying. Is it the band? Is it one of the representatives? Tick that. And if you are applying on behalf of someone else, if you could please tell us the name of the band and give us a direct email to if it's a band, the lead contact, or if it's an individual, just the email, just so we can get in touch with them if there's ever any issues with the funding grant. Then we've got some more questions here, which are based on our numbers in the band, and then also if you a little bit of questions about where you're based, country-wise. It's either going to be England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, or Wales. Whether you're based in which region, and then also where you're originally from. So if you live somewhere different to where you were brought up, then please also tell us where you were originally from. In regards to the most important question in this section that I wanted to discuss is how much you're requesting. If you've got a budget towards the end, but if you'd like to put in the amount you're requesting in this part so that we have a record of how much you would like to be funded between 5 and 15,000, and then if you'd like to also put your total project budget, so that is the amount of money your entire project is costing, not just what the fund will cover. And then finally, you have a website link that if you could put a website to the music creator that you're applying on behalf of, it's not you. Or if you haven't got a website, if you have a sharing website like a bit.ly or one of those websites where it's just a holding page where you've got links to all your things, if you could put that in, that would be really helpful for assessors to be able to look at your at what you've got. Then you go to your music. Now, in your music, we expect you to submit high quality, outstanding new music. I think if you are a band and you are making a change in your sound, then I think it's best to maybe put up links of what your new projects going forward will sound like, rather than some people will put up music that has done them well in the past. And even though that's great to see that music, if you have a complete change of direction in the band's sound and the direction you're going in, then it's probably best to give us links, even if they're private, of the music that is going to be you're going to be supporting with this fund in the next 2 years. You can put links to Spotify, SoundCloud, all the DSPs. Please don't send links to downloadable websites like SendSpace, Dropbox, You Send It, or Facebook or MySpace, because sometimes the advisors can't get access to these services. And also, if you do put up links that are private, please make sure that they are accessible for at least 12 weeks while we go through the assessment stage of the funding scheme. And also, if you could make sure that you check your links before you add them, because the worst thing in the world is for people's links to not work, and then that will score them down quite low. So you can if you put your links in this box, then again, we ask you about how many people in the band, and then also how many years you've been working on this musical project. For example, if you've been a band for 7 years but decide to pursue solo career and 2 years ago, then it's best to answer that you've been doing this project for 2 years. So it's particularly this musical project or this band or solo project, not anything you've done as maybe a musician, a session musician. We don't want to hear. It's really about this like sort of individual project. Also, if you could tell us the occupation of anyone who's in the band, if they have a part-time, full-time job, or whether they're students, if you could let us know what status the artist or the band employment is in. So it may be that you're in full-time music. You can put that as well. There's also there's some genre questions here. Now, the two that are asterisks with red asterisks, they're the main ones to fill in But if you feel like you want to give our advisors a bit more context on your sound, then please also add genres in the other sections here that are above those two. Those two are the ones you must fill in, but the three above, if you could put in the genres, if like say you're a fusion of several different genres, then it might be good to put that in so that you're given the advisors who are assessing the applications of context on your music. Going on to the next page, your project. Now this is your chance to tell us what your project is, why you need funding, and the impact the activities will have on your career. We'll also give you a chance to discuss your career to date and explain why you're at the tipping point of your career. So go to these questions, you have a look. We have one question where we're asking you what is the activity you're looking for funding. We have 3 options and then a combination of all those 3. And then if you type other, then please put in maximum of 10 words what that project is, if it's not recording, marketing, or touring. Then we'd like you to give us detail on the activities you'd like to be funded in a maximum of 150 words, why the activity is suitable for momentum funding. So briefly explain this activity and how significant impact and why the impact it will have on your career and why the foundation should support is needed. If you're working with a manager or you are the manager applying, please give us a little bit of background on their track record of developing artists. This is quite a crucial one in terms of showcasing like the support network you have and how they can help you. And if you're working with a manager, please describe like the nature of your relationship. Are they part of a management company? Are they an individual person who just manages acts? All that kind of detail would be included in that part. If you are signed to a publisher or record label, then please provide names. It could be an indie label that you could talk about, or if it's a distribution company, then please state that the relationship you have with the distribution or label that you put in this part. And if you have a contract with a record label, publisher, or other investment company, then if you can explain why they can't support your proposed funded activity. Going on, we ask you to tell us about your career to date. Put as much detail as you can in this part about concise detail though, but tell us like what's happened for you in the last few years, level of industry interest, radio plays, the popularity on social media, your track record of playing live shows, if you've got any milestones of streaming numbers or songs that have done particularly well, even had songs that have had sync activity, put as much detail as you can in there. It's 300 words maximum, but you can fit quite a lot of detail into there. And then let us know how much your band and or artist project has made you in the last 12 months, including sync, live fees, royalties, any brand fees you received from doing brand deals. And then let us know what your main revenue streams have been contributing to your income over the last year. Again, sync fees, live fees, royalties. And if you have any additional music businesses that help support you, like merchandise that you sell on a website that could help bring a profit into your artist project, or endorsements or brand deals, you could put them into this part. Tell us what your music career looks like in 2 years. So we're asking you to give us 3 goals, measurable outcomes that you will then, if successful, you will then in your final evaluation report, you will return to and let us know if you've achieved these. So these can be playing X capacity venues, selling a number of units digitally and physically, growing a fan base by a certain number. You could have career goals in terms of I'd like to be performing on these 3 festivals by the end of the 2 years. Like there is a wide range of things that you could put in here. I just think you need them to be achievable and realistic, and also show that you are really progressing as an artist project. And then the next part is to tell us all the different types of people you work with in terms of management, label, publisher, producer, PR, if you've got a lawyer, agent, the more detail about who you're working with and how many people you've got in your team, even if it's people that help you out because they're fans of you, that's worth knowing as well. We just want to know that there's genuine support from an industry perspective in terms of, like, okay, you may not have a major record deal, but you've got so many people in your corner who are helping you out. Yes, you're paying them to some degree, but they're there to support you and they believe in your artist project. And then if you could provide a supporting statement from a person involved in delivering the project who isn't the artist or the manager. So if you could get someone, if you've got a booking agent, they could write it. If you've got a distribution company, artist relationship manager, they can provide a statement, just a statement providing why they think that you are deserving of this fund and can really get over the career tipping point within the next 2 years. And then afterwards, if you could also supply us with a press or blog review in the last 18 months. You can supply us with more than one if you want, but 1 or 2 would be sufficient. And then also a detailed marketing and promotions plan for the activities that you are doing. Now, you may not be asking for funding for marketing and promotion, but if you're asking for funding for recording, but then you're going to be delivering an album, we want to know that you've got the right plan in place to be delivering an album. So it's really crucial that you put this down. Even if you're not asking for the money to fund marketing and promotion, it just gives us a bigger picture of where you're at and where you can go beyond your tipping point. I think a lot of applications have failed because they've left this part out if they haven't applied for funding for the marketing and promotion. But it's still quite crucial because we want to support people that we feel have got a really strong plan and will have the success that they're hoping to have. And then the last part on this page is to tell us why it's the right time for you to receive your PPL Momentum funding. Is this your crucial point of your career development? And how will the fund support your impact on your career? That's really about you as an artist, or if you're applying on behalf of an artist, of telling us like why you think that this is a part of your career where if you don't get the support now, it's gonna not allow you to progress to the hopeful musical sustainable career that you hope to have. Next page is an important one I want to go through, which is the budget. So the template has an expenditure form here, and in the expenditure form we are asking for you to detail your expenditures in different categories. So you've got here artist band fees. So if you've got time to create music or rehearsal time, if you put a description, the description boxes are small, but you can fit quite a lot into them. And then you put the amount. Recordings costs are the time, studio time, you're paying for session fees or producer fees. Again, you can put as much in that description box as you'd like. Even though it looks small, it does expand. And then marketing and promotion, again, advertising, PR, plugin, websites. We then have a box for traveling. If you're going to have van hire, petrol, or airfares if you're flying to one part of the country to another, and also purchase of equipment. If justified in the application, this can be up to 20% of the total grant request. And then we have several other boxes that you can fill out here. And there's also an artist manager production project management contribution. Now, this cannot be more than 15% of your total grant cost. Managers, if you're applying on behalf of artist, then maybe in this box here, let us know about how much involvement you're going to have in the project and helping the artist deliver it. We do understand that artist managers do put a lot of time and effort and their skill sets into delivering these projects. So we're aware that giving them a percentage of this fund towards what the work they do is quite crucial. And there's also a contingency of up to 10% for unforeseen spending that you can put in here. Now, when you're putting in your budgets, it's important that you click here where your funding costs. So if you put £12,000 in here and you want to spend £3,000 of it on recording costs, then you should click this here to say that yes, it's going to be spent on here. Now, if you're using if you've offered £12,000 and you're splitting the money between different categories, it's also good to put in the description notes how much of that money, and hopefully it will tally up, you're using on each section that you put here. It's important to do that to give advisors more of an idea of number one, that you're budgeting this correctly, and it breeds confidence that your plan is good and solid, but then also that you have thought about how you're going to break down this money, and it feels like you're not just asking us for money, you have the plan down, and you're quite confident in that you're going to deliver it. And going on down to the income section. So in the income section, we have ways that you will generate money. So if you look down here, we have the momentum funds from the PPL Momentum Fund. You have two different boxes that you can fill out here, either a confirmed amount. So if you know that money is definitely coming in, you can put it down. But if it's sort of like an unconfirmed amount, like it may come in, or it's not been confirmed that this activity that brings in this income is confirmed, then you can put it in there. So you have, if you're doing gigs, you have ticket sales or gigs fees. If you've got promoters giving you guarantee fees for touring, then you can put that in. Again, put in as much description as where that money is coming from as you can. Merchandise sales, if you're selling music, or you're selling t-shirts or any kind of merchandise that you maybe have on your website, or even you take on the road with you, then you should put in description and notes exactly what it is, and you can put how much you think it's going to generate. If you put in your career to date that you've sold a certain amount, then we would expect you to put more. I've sold 50 t-shirts, and we'd expect you to say maybe I've sold 100 in going forward, because you obviously want to see growth. But we wouldn't expect you to go from something like 50 to 3,000-4,000, because that's quite a big step, and it's unrealistic. Unless you have a reason why it's not unrealistic, then put it in the application. Contribution from labels, publisher, manager company, or other investments, you could put a description of where it's coming from and why it's being invested. And then you've got recorded income, digital and physical sales and streaming, which you can also put in royalty revenue if that is the case. Again, put in a description of where it's coming from. Other donations, money raised through individuals or community donations. If you set up a funding scheme yourself online, or you have a donation from, sometimes people just have a super fan who's got some money and they want to put in and help you like develop as an artist, you can put that down. But then also, if you have other funders like the Arts Council England, or help musicians who are giving you money towards a project, you can put that in as well. If that money has been confirmed, then you can put that in confirmed. If it's sort of you've applied for it and you're waiting for them to come back to you, then please put it in unconfirmed. Then there's several other additional incomes that you can put in there. And then this should all tally up and come to the same amount. So if your total expenditure comes to £20,000, then your total income should come to £20,000. What have I done here? Oh, wrong thing. Should come to £20,000. If it doesn't, it will show up, and there should be this discrepancy in income, expenditure to income should be zero. Once you've finished doing the budget, it's really crucial that that matches up, because if it doesn't and you submit, then that would be a big low scoring part on your application. Also, if you are given some stuff in kind, you can put the amount in here that you're getting given in kind. For example, I'm recording, but the studio allow me to use their facilities for free for 5 days and work out how much it would cost if you were to hire that. And you can put it in this box and tell us exactly what that in kind income is. And also we've got a little bit more here about have you included your artist manager contribution, and you put yes. And then if you can tell us a bit more detail about how long you've been working with the artist, why you require additional support to manage this project effectively, and details of your role assumed as a manager and otherwise be paid by way of the fee of a third party. And then finally, we get onto the monitoring page. Now, PRS Foundation requests information from applicants to all programs for monitoring and reporting purposes. We are open and accessible and inclusive funders of new music and believe that success of the music we fund is driven by the diversity of the people who create it. The below questions are for monitoring purposes, and this section will only be seen by PRS Foundation staff, with overall stats for the deadline shared with our funding partners for this scheme. This information you give does not affect the scoring system, and external advisors based on scores, criteria, and supporting exciting, diverse talent. In all cases, you have an option to prefer not to say, but we encourage that you answer all questions. So we have an array of questions here to do with your age range, gender, gender identity, and what best describes the ethnicity of the main music creator, and so on, about access requirements and also disability. Again, you can, if you prefer, you do not have to say, but it's really good for our reporting to have all of this information. And again, it doesn't go beyond PRS Foundation staff, and it's just included in our stats for deadlines for funding partners. That's all for today. I hope that's been really informative, and if you have any questions, please type them into the boxes in the YouTube channel underneath this video, and one of the staff members, if it's not myself, will hopefully get back to you. And also, if you have got any questions regarding applying for funding, then please, you can email us at info@prsfoundation.com, and one of the team will get back to you. And if you have any further questions that you didn't think I answered, then if you read through the guidance on our website on prsfoundation.com, they may be answered there. Hope you found this webinar helpful, and good luck with your application.